Hey everybody, it's Jennifer Weissman with Benchmark, and today we're going to be talking about square foot. I was planning to talk about this anyway, and then a really interesting discussion came up on a national Facebook realtors page today, so it was talking about this as well. And all states handle this differently. One of the comments that was very interesting to me is that in North Carolina, the agents are required to measure and validate that you can't use the tax record square foot because there's so commonly discrepancies in these things. Hey, thanks for joining us. So, a lot of times the tax record says, round numbers again, you know me by now, 2,000 square foot. And the last listing or the original builder's listing maybe says 2,400 square foot. How did this difference come about? Or maybe it says, yeah, 2,400 is a good number to use. So, what ends up happening a lot, especially in Tennessee, is we don't have a lot of basements. The basements that we have are often hillside walkout. We're going to talk about how those are valued at a different time. Hey, so when you've got a builder and he has an area, usually above the garage, that could be a bonus space, they may not have intended originally to have that as a bonus space, but it's an optional upgrade when you walk in. So they have it set to do a 2,000 square foot house, but you put on the bonus room, you finish it, you put the HVAC system through it, it's heated and cooled, it's legit livable square foot, and it's 400 square footage extra. So the first listing of this house may have said 2,400 square foot, whereas the tax record may read 2,000 square foot. But then when you bought the house, you were the second owner and you had the square foot as, let's see, 23, 20. Let me think for a second, 2280 square foot. Well, why are all these numbers different? So it has to do with livable square foot. And like I said, what was submitted on the original docs, the most commonly, these are the things that happen. So if you're in the space above the garage, a lot of times you're going into that roof line. So there's what they call hip walls, and a lot of times they start at about 3 foot, and it's not till about 2 foot into the room that they're 5 foot high. And 5 foot is a very important number because it's not livable square foot until it's 5 feet in height. So if you've got 2 foot in and a 20 foot run on both sides, then that's 80 square foot that you're taking off of the 2,400. So your square foot measures out to 2,320. And like I said, appraisers don't go by square foot, but realtors, when we're kind of basing our price, we have square foot as an estimate, like X dollars per square foot as a low, medium, and high range for what's been selling in the neighborhood. Appraisers do it somewhat differently, but that's kind of an easy way for realtors to equate what appraisers are doing and come in with a somewhat accurate pricing for your home. So it could have to do with hip walls. The other thing is there could have been an addition. um, there could have been a difference in the framing of the home. When the builder first bought the plan, maybe he thought it was going to be 1930 square foot. And when he was framing it out, and he changed a few things. And so now it's actually going to be 1980 square foot or 2011 square foot. So actually, on one of the last listings I had, the tax record said 1930. And when I sat down to meet with the sellers, they're like, you know what? The house across the street's the exact same floor plan. We've been in it. Our house doesn't feel smaller around us. And it's 1970 square foot. Same other floor plans down the road. It's 1983 square foot. And around the corner, it's 2011. And I said, well, that's a pretty big range when you're talking dollars of square foot in Franklin or around 200 a square foot. That's a pretty big chunk. So I called a professional measurer. You can also call an appraiser, but I called a professional measurer out and he measured the home and it was indeed 1983 square foot. It was much closer in line with all the other floor plans that were built with that home. And then I also was able to get like a floor plan draft to include with the listing as well. Sometimes I had a house in January or February, and it had a big outbuilding, and the outbuilding was heated and cooled. So that's livable square foot. Heated, cooled, water, electric. It was a great house. That outbuilding was huge. The house itself, I want to say, was around 2350 square foot, the dwelling, but the outbuilding, when we measured it, was 1100 square foot. That is considerable increase in value of that home. And then I took a buyer out. We were looking at new construction, and he got a little chafed because there was a garage and it was not finished drywall in the garage. And it's the concrete floor. I mean, it's garage. And like I said, not finished. But the builder had put a vent out there to run the HVAC, and he was counting this house as livable square foot and saying that it was, I think, almost 2,000 square foot, but it felt like a 1,500 square foot because he was including all this garage. And we called him. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's heated and cooled. It isn't finished heated and cooled." So we had a discussion about that and decided not to play with that builder and how he was doing things. So there's lots of different reasons that houses can measure differently in different places. And again, sometimes you have someone who takes their garage, finishes it out because they need a second living room, or they don't have a bonus room in their house or whatever, or they need an office space, or had a client up in Mount Juliet and he wanted an insulated area that he could do his band, but he didn't want a garage band. He's an old guy. He wanted air conditioning and everything. So they finished out their garage, and then they had a long driveway they just parked out under carports on. So the best thing that you can do when you're buying a house, hold on to your appraisal. Request a copy of that. And that's much more common now than it was even five to 10 years ago. Because on that appraisal, it's going to have the measured square foot. That way, when you go to list your home, there's a variety of sources that we can put down as where we got the square foot number. The two most common are tax records and owner provided. The two most in error are tax records and owner provided. So if you have previous appraisal or professional measurement, that's someone who has been trained in measuring houses. So that gives you a validity of that square foot when you're going to list it. And it gives us a very accurate means of pricing it with our method of doing square foot ranges. So if you have any more questions about that, let me know. And yeah, Lance is a lender I work with. He's great, but he says this is a common problem throughout Tennessee, and it's always popping up on refi. So even if you didn't get your appraisal when you bought the house and you're refining now, hold on to that appraisal. The other thing you should probably hang on to is your inspection, but we'll talk about that at a different time. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you guys have a great day. Tuesday, we're moving along. It was a closing day, so that's fun here. Congratulations to my seller and to the happy new homeowner. And if you guys would like me to help you sell your home or to help you be a happy new homeowner, let me know. Talk to you soon. Jennifer Weissman with Benchmark.